Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, where we dive deep into the fascinating stories, secrets, and hidden fortunes found in everyday pocket change. Today, we're setting our sights on one of the most familiar coins in American history, a coin that's been in the hands of millions yet still holds mysteries and surprises waiting to be discovered, the 2023 United States of America Washington $quarter coin. This isn't just any quarter. This modern piece of American currency has proven that even the newest coins can hide astonishing value. So, grab your magnifying glass and settle in, because this might just be one of the most exciting coin stories you'll ever hear. The Washington quarter is one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. First minted in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, it has gone through numerous design changes over the decades. Each new design reflects a different chapter of American identity, from the original eagle reverse to the 50-state quarters, the America the Beautiful series, and now the American Women Quarters program. But what makes the 2023 quarter so intriguing is not just its design, but the fact that some special variants and minting errors have made collectors around the world pay huge attention to it. The 2023 quarter continues the American Women Quarter series, a program that celebrates influential women who shaped U.S. history and culture. Depending on which quarter you have, it might feature one of several inspiring figures from history, women who broke barriers, challenged norms, and left a lasting legacy. The front of the coin, as always, features the profile of George Washington, but in a more modernized form, sculpted by Laura Garden Fraser, whose original design was actually created nearly a century ago. It's elegant, bold, and a wonderful nod to the past while embracing the present. The back side, or the reverse, changes depending on which honoree the coin celebrates. Some 2023 issues feature women like Bessie Coleman, the first African-American and Native American woman pilot, or Edith Kanakali, the Hawaiian cultural icon. Each coin tells its own story, but they all share one thing in common: their stunning craftsmanship and deep symbolism. Now, here's where things get really interesting. While these coins were minted for general circulation, not all 2023 quarters are created equal. You see, certain mint marks, rare errors, and pristine conditions can make an ordinary-looking quarter turn into something truly extraordinary. The 2023 quarters were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each identified by a small letter mark, P, D, or S, near George Washington's bust. But some collectors have discovered unusual features on a few of these coins. There have been reports of double dies, die cracks, misaligned strikes, and even off-center minting that make these coins stand out from the rest. These minting errors are what fuel the excitement in the world of numismatics. Imagine holding a coin that, due to a tiny imperfection during the minting process, becomes one of only a handful in existence. That rarity is what sends collectors into a frenzy and makes the value of these coins skyrocket. Even more exciting is that these coins are still in circulation, meaning that the very next quarter you receive in your change could be worth a fortune. Another factor that determines a coin's worth is its condition. In numismatics, condition is everything. A 2023 Washington quarter in heavily circulated condition might not catch anyone's eye, but one that has never been used, one that still shines with its original mint luster and has no scratches or marks, can be worth far more than you might imagine. Graded coins, especially those given top marks by organizations like PCGS or NGC, can command incredible prices at auctions. Collectors pay a premium for coins in flawless condition because they represent the best of the best, a perfect example of craftsmanship, history, and rarity all in one small piece of metal. But there's more. Some 2023 quarters with special features, such as proof versions or silver strikes made for collectors, have also gained attention. Proof coins are specially struck with polished dies to create mirror-like surfaces and sharp details, and these coins are not meant for everyday use. When one of these finds its way into circulation by accident or is discovered years later in perfect shape, collectors go wild. They are rare, beautiful, and valuable, the perfect combination for any coin enthusiast. Now, let's talk about what makes certain 2023 quarters so incredibly valuable. One of the most notable examples is the rare error coins discovered from early minting batches. Some coins have slight doubling on Washington's profile, while others show faint extra outlines on the reverse design. There have even been reports of color tone variations caused by metal inconsistencies during production. These details might seem small, but to a trained collector's eye, they can make the difference between a 25-cent coin and one worth thousands. Imagine this: you're sorting through your spare change, and you notice a 2023 quarter that just looks a little different. The design seems slightly shifted, or the texture on one side feels unusual. It might look like nothing, but that's exactly how great discoveries begin. Many collectors have stumbled upon rare coins in the most unexpected ways, from pocket change, cash registers, or coin rolls straight from the bank. It's that element of surprise and the thrill of the hunt that makes coin collecting such an exciting hobby. Now picture the moment when you learn that your coin, the one you thought was just another quarter, has a minting error so rare that collectors around the world are bidding for it. Auction houses list it, bids climb higher and higher, and before you know it, this little piece of metal that you found by chance becomes worth an amount that could change your life. That's the magic of numismatics, the ability of history, rarity, and passion to turn something ordinary into something extraordinary. And that brings us to the highlight of today's story, the value reveal that has left collectors and enthusiasts in awe. If you happen to find one of these exceptional 2023 United States of America Washington $quarter coins, in perfect uncirculated condition, especially with a rare minting error or unique feature, you could be holding a true treasure in your hand. These coins, rare and special, have sold at astonishing prices to collectors eager to own a piece of modern coinage history. Yes, some of these remarkable coins have been valued at an incredible $95,000, just imagine. A coin worth 25 cents in face value, now commanding $95,000 because of its rarity, perfection, and the story it carries. It's truly amazing how something so small can represent such a huge reward. So, the next time you get change at the store, don't just toss your coins into a jar without looking. Check every detail, inspect every quarter, and who knows, the 2023 Washington quarter in your hand might be more than just spare change. It might be your ticket to a fortune. Today, we're exploring a coin that most Americans have seen countless times, spent without a second thought, or perhaps still have sitting quietly in a jar somewhere at home. But what if I told you that this ordinary-looking coin could actually be worth a small fortune? Yes, we're talking about the 1986 United States of America Washington $quarter coin, a piece of American currency that, under the right circumstances, can fetch an absolutely stunning amount of money. So sit back, relax, and let's dive deep into the story behind this remarkable coin, its history, design, rarity, and the secrets that make it so valuable today. The Washington quarter is one of the most enduring and beloved coins in U.S. history. First minted in 1932, it was created to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and over the decades, it has remained one of the most collected and recognized coins in circulation. By 1986, the Washington quarter had already seen over 50 years of production, and while it was still part of everyday life, there was something special about that year's issue, a subtle beauty and hidden value that only true collectors have learned to appreciate. In 1986, the U.S. Mint produced the Washington quarter in three main locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins struck in Philadelphia carry no mint mark, while those from Denver bear the D mint mark, and the proof coins from San Francisco proudly show that this. Each mint location tells its own story, the Philadelphia coins for wide circulation, the Denver coins known for slightly sharper strikes, and the San Francisco proofs made with extraordinary care for collectors. But what many don't realize is that variations between these mints can lead to dramatic differences in value, especially when we factor in rarity, condition, and minting errors. The year 1986 came at an interesting time in U.S. coinage. The nation had already transitioned away from the silver quarters of the past. Since 1965, quarters had been made from a copper-nickel-clad composition rather than silver. While the face value remained 25 cents, the change in metal made collecting a bit more complex, because now the true value of a coin depended less on its metal and more on its rarity, condition, and historical context. Let's take a closer look at the design. On the obverse side of the coin, we see the familiar profile of George Washington, sculpted by John Flanagan, based on Jean-Antoine Houdon's 18th-century bust of the first U.S. president. It's a timeless image, Washington's calm expression, his gaze forward, and the detailed rendering of his hair tied with a ribbon, all symbols of leadership, dignity, and resilience. Above his portrait, the word "Liberty" stretches proudly across the top, and beneath his chin, the national motto, "In God We Trust," reminds us of the country's enduring values. The date, 1986, rests below, grounding the coin in its time. Turn the coin over, and you'll find the majestic bald eagle, the national bird of the United States, clutching arrows in its talons while perched upon olive branches, a powerful image symbolizing both strength and peace. Above it reads, United States of America, and below, the denomination, $quarter. The level of artistry, balance, and symbolism in this design is part of what makes the Washington quarter so beloved. It's more than a coin, it's a small piece of American pride, but here's where things start to get really interesting, and valuable. While millions of 1986 quarters were minted, not all were created equal. During production, certain coins experienced minting errors, tiny mistakes that transformed ordinary coins into rare collectibles. These errors might include doubled dies, misaligned strikes, or planchet errors, where the metal disc used for the coin wasn't properly prepared. Some even have faint or missing details, die cracks, or off-center strikes, making them unique. These small imperfections, invisible to most people, are exactly what collectors search for, because in the world of numismatics, rarity equals value. Another important factor that adds to a coin's worth is its condition. Most 1986 quarters were used in daily transactions, spent on groceries, tolls, and morning coffee, which means the majority of them now show signs of wear. But those that somehow escaped circulation, those that remained untouched for decades, kept in mint sets or collector rolls, are the true treasures. When these coins are graded by professional organizations such as PCGS or NGC and receive a high grade, particularly those graded MS 68 or higher, their value can skyrocket. A brilliant uncirculated quarter from 1986, shining with its original luster, is a rare find indeed. Collectors also pay close attention to proof coins, the ones minted in San Francisco. These coins were struck multiple times using specially polished dies, giving them an extraordinary level of detail and a mirror-like finish. Proof coins were never intended for general circulation, but occasionally, one finds its way into the public's hands. When that happens, it's like discovering a hidden gem, and such finds can be worth thousands of times their face value. Some collectors also search for deep cameo proofs, where the frosted design contrasts sharply with the mirror-like background. These coins are breathtaking to look at and extremely valuable when preserved in perfect condition. A 1986 S-proof quarter with deep cameo contrast and flawless surfaces is a dream for many coin enthusiasts. Imagine this scenario: you're sorting through your spare change, perhaps looking for state quarters, and you come across a 1986 coin. You think nothing of it at first, it looks like just another quarter. But something about it seems different. Maybe the shine catches your eye, or the details look unusually sharp. Maybe you notice a tiny misalignment or a faint doubling in the lettering. If that happens, you could be holding something far more valuable than you ever imagined. Now imagine you take that coin to be appraised, and the experts' eyes widen as they realize what you found: a near-perfect 1986 Washington quarter with a rare minting error or exceptional condition. Suddenly, this coin that's been sitting unnoticed for decades becomes the center of attention. Collectors want it. Bidders compete for it. And what was once worth just 25 cents becomes a piece of history and a prized possession. The beauty of coin collecting is that these stories happen all the time. Coins that most people overlook turn out to be treasures for those who know what to look for. Each small detail, from a subtle doubling to a tiny crack or even the shine of the metal, tells a story of rarity, craftsmanship, and the unpredictable magic of the minting process. And now, after exploring the fascinating world of the 1986 Washington quarter, it's time for the part you've been waiting for, the value reveal. So, just how much can a coin like this be worth today? Well, if you happen to find a 1986 United States of America Washington $quarter coin in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially one with a rare minting error or proof-like qualities, you could be holding a coin worth an incredible $103,000. That's right, $103,000 for a single quarter. A coin that might have passed through countless hands or rested quietly in a drawer for years could now be worth more than a brand new luxury car or even a down payment on a house. It's hard to believe, but that's the thrill of numismatics, the discovery that extraordinary value can be hidden in plain sight. So, before you spend your next quarter without a glance, take a moment to look closely. You never know what secrets it might hold. Check the mint mark, examine the details, and if you find a 1986 Washington quarter that looks special, keep it safe, because it just might be your ticket to an amazing discovery and a life-changing reward. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating pieces of American coinage, the United States of America Washington $quarter coin from 1966. At first glance, it looks like just another old quarter you might find rattling around in your change jar, but don't be fooled. This 1966 Washington quarter could be worth far more than 25 cents. In fact, some rare versions of this coin have fetched jaw-dropping amounts at auctions. So grab your magnifying glass and stay tuned until the end, because we're going to explore its history, design, rare errors, and what makes certain 1966 Washington quarters worth serious money. Let's start by traveling back to 1966. It was a year of great change and transition in the United States, right in the middle of the swinging 60s, a time of cultural revolution, innovation, and transformation. For coin collectors, 1966 marked an important shift in U.S. coinage history. Just 1 year earlier, in 1965, the U.S. Mint made a huge decision that would forever alter the makeup of American coins. They stopped using silver in the production of dimes and quarters. From 1965 onward, these coins were made using a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of 90% silver, a move driven by rising silver prices and shortages at the time. That's what makes the 1966 Washington quarter so historically significant. It was among the first few years of this new composition, and during this transitional period, a lot of experimentation was happening at the U.S. Mint. Mistakes, variations, and unique errors were common. For collectors, that's pure gold, or in this case, pure profit. Because some of these mistakes created coins that are now incredibly rare and valuable, now let's take a closer look at the design of the 1966 quarter. On the obverse side, you'll see the familiar profile of George Washington, the first President of the United States. His portrait, originally designed by sculptor John Flanagan, has been featured on the quarter since 1932, commemorating the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. Above his head, you'll find the word Liberty, and to the left, the famous phrase, "In God We Trust." Beneath his portrait lies the date 1966, giving this coin its identity. The design may look simple, but it's a piece of American tradition that has stood the test of time for nearly a century. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the majestic American bald eagle with its wings spread wide, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, a powerful symbol of strength, freedom, and preparedness. The eagle sits above an olive branch, representing peace. Around the top edge, the words "United States of America" proudly encircle the eagle, with "De pluribus unum" just beneath it, meaning, out of many, one. At the bottom, the denomination reads, $quarter. It's a design that perfectly blends art, history, and symbolism. Every detail has meaning, and every scratch tells a story, but here's where things start to get really interesting. Not all 1966 Washington quarters are the same. The U.S. Mint did not put mint marks on coins between 1965 and 1967 in an effort to discourage collectors from hoarding them during this transitional period. So, while you won't find a mint mark on your 1966 quarter, there are still some major differences that make certain coins worth far more than others. For example, coins struck on silver planchets, meaning leftover silver blanks from 1964 that somehow made their way into the presses, are among the most valuable. These rare transitional errors are like winning the coin collector's lottery. If you have a 1966 quarter that feels heavier, has a slightly different ring when dropped, or doesn't show copper on the edges, it might be one of these incredible silver error coins. Other error types include double die strikes, where parts of the design appear doubled, creating ghost-like outlines around the letters or numbers. There are also off-center strikes, broad strikes, and coins with clipped planchets, all of which can significantly increase the value of your coin depending on the severity and visibility of the error. Even a small minting mistake can make your coin unique and highly desirable among collectors. Condition also plays a huge role in determining a coin's value. Coins that have been in circulation for decades often show wear and scratches, reducing their appeal. But if your 1966 quarter looks clean, shiny, and crisp, with full details on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, it could be considered mint state or uncirculated. Such coins are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, and high-grade examples can sell for thousands of dollars. Another thing that adds to this coin's allure is its place in numismatic history. The mid-60s era marked the end of silver coinage and the beginning of modern clad coins, and any transitional piece from that time captures a fascinating story of change. Collectors love coins that represent a turning point in history, and the 1966 Washington quarter is one of those. Now, you might be wondering, how can a small, simple coin that's only worth 25 cents be worth a fortune? The answer lies in rarity, demand, and historical importance. A standard 1966 quarter may just be pocket change, but one with the right combination of condition and rarity could make you rich overnight. There have been verified sales of rare 1966 quarters that stunned even seasoned collectors. Imagine finding an old coin in a jar at home, only to learn that it's a rare transitional error worth tens of thousands of dollars. That's the kind of dream story that makes coin collecting so thrilling. That if you're curious whether your coin could be one of the valuable ones, start by checking its edges. A normal clad coin will have a copper-colored stripe along the rim, but a rare silver error will not. It'll have a solid silver edge instead. Also, weigh your coin if you can. A normal clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, while a silver quarter weighs around 6.25 grams. That small difference could mean a huge payday. And now, the part you've been waiting for, the potential value of this rare and fascinating coin. In recent years, certain rare 1966 Washington quarter dollar coins, especially those with unique minting errors or found in perfect uncirculated condition, have sold for as much as $193,000 in auctions. Yes, you heard that right, $193,000 for a single quarter that might be hiding in someone's collection, change jar, or even a drawer at home. So next time you come across an old quarter from 1966, don't just spend it, inspect it carefully. You could be holding a piece of American history worth a small fortune. Today, we're taking you on a journey through time to explore one of the most remarkable coins in modern American history, the United States of America Washington quarter dollar coin from 1979. At first glance, it may look like just another common quarter, the kind you might use for a parking meter or a vending machine. But appearances can be deceiving. Hidden among the millions of 1979 quarters out there are a few that are so rare and valuable they could change your life forever. So grab your magnifying glass, check your coin jar, and stick with me until the very end, because you might just discover that you've been carrying a small fortune in your pocket all along. Let's rewind the clock to the year 1979. It was a time of incredible transition and energy in the United States. The disco era was at its height, new technology was reshaping the world, and the nation was celebrating a sense of modern progress. But beneath all that excitement, the U.S. Mint was continuing its mission of producing billions of coins for everyday commerce, including the iconic Washington quarter, a coin that had already been circulating for nearly half a century by that point. Originally introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the quarter had long been one of the most recognizable pieces of U.S. currency. By 1979, the Washington quarter had already gone through many changes, but one of the most important happened back in 1965 when the mint stopped using silver in quarters. Rising silver prices had made it impractical to keep producing coins from the precious metal, so the composition switched to a copper-nickel clad structure. That means the quarters made in 1979 were not silver. Instead, they were a combination of copper and nickel bonded together, giving them that familiar shiny surface but a brownish hue along the edge. However, even though they weren't made of silver, the 1979 Washington quarters have become incredibly interesting to collectors for several reasons, and one of them could make your coin worth a staggering amount of money. Now, let's talk about the design. The obverse, or front, of the 1979 Washington quarter proudly features the timeless portrait of George Washington, sculpted by John Flanagan. His calm, noble face has graced the quarter since 1932, symbolizing strength, leadership, and the spirit of the American nation. Above his head, you'll see the word Liberty, and to the left, the national motto, In God We Trust. Beneath his portrait is the date, 1979, giving this coin its historical identity. Flip it over, and on the reverse side you'll find the American bald eagle, wings outstretched and clutching arrows in its talons, perched above an olive branch. It's a design that perfectly balances the themes of power and peace. The eagle stands ready to defend, yet rests on the symbol of harmony. The inscriptions, United States of America, E pluribus unum, and $quarter, frame the image beautifully, making the design a true icon of American pride. But the real magic of the 1979 quarter lies not just in its design, it's in the small details and minting errors that set a few coins apart from the rest. These unique variations are what make certain coins worth a fortune today. The 1979 quarters were minted at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can find the mint mark right next to Washington's hair ribbon, just above the date. Coins from Philadelphia will have no mint mark, while those from Denver have a small D, and coins from San Francisco carry an S. Now here's where it gets exciting. Some of the 1979 Washington quarters struck in San Francisco were made as proofs, meaning they were minted with exceptional care for collectors. These proof coins have a mirror-like finish and incredibly sharp details. But among them, there are some rare varieties, specifically the Type 1 and Type 2 mint mark differences. On the Type 1, the S appears blob-like and less defined, while the Type 2 has a clear, distinct S. The Type 2 variety is rarer and more desirable to collectors, and in perfect condition, these coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Another category of valuable 1979 quarters includes coins with striking or planchet errors. Some quarters were accidentally struck on 40% silver planchets, leftover blanks intended for commemorative coins or proof sets. Imagine having one of those in your collection, a quarter from 1979 that isn't even supposed to exist in silver form. These are extremely rare and highly prized by collectors. Then there are the famous double-die obverse coins, where the lettering or numbers appear doubled due to a misalignment during minting. This type of error can make your coin incredibly valuable depending on how visible and pronounced the doubling is. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even coins struck on foreign planchets, such as those meant for other denominations or countries, have all been discovered among 1979 quarters, and each one tells its own fascinating story. Condition is everything when it comes to coin value. Most 1979 quarters have been heavily circulated, showing scratches, dullness, and wear from decades of use. But if you have one that looks sharp, lustrous, and fresh, with crisp details in Washington's hair, the eagle's feathers, and no signs of heavy wear, it could be graded as a mint state or uncirculated coin. Such coins are much rarer, and collectors will pay a premium for them. There's also something special about the 1979 quarters made in transition between die changes. Some coins from that year display slight differences in the design details, such as the spacing of the letters or the sharpness of Washington's features, because the mint was continuously updating its dies. These subtle variations are sometimes overlooked but can significantly increase a coin's collectability. Now let's talk about why these coins have skyrocketed in value in recent years. As more people have become interested in coin collecting, older quarters from the 1970s and 1980s have gained attention, especially those in exceptional condition or with rare minting anomalies. The thrill of finding a hidden treasure in everyday change keeps collectors searching, and the 1979 Washington quarter has proven to be one of those coins that can surprise you when you least expect it. There have been documented cases of rare 1979 quarters selling for astonishing amounts at auctions, thanks to their condition, rarity, and error types. One exceptional example, a 1979 Washington quarter with rare striking characteristics and preserved in pristine mint state, sold for a breathtaking amount, leaving collectors speechless. And now comes the moment you've been waiting for, the big reveal of how much one of these coins can actually be worth. Believe it or not, a rare 1979 United States of America Washington quarter dollar coin, featuring unique errors and preserved in perfect uncirculated condition, has been valued at an incredible $111,000. Yes, you heard that right. $111,000 for a single 1979 quarter. Just imagine finding something like that in your change or tucked away in an old coin album. That's not just pocket change, that's a life-changing discovery, so before you spend that old quarter or toss your change aside, take a closer look. Check the date, the mint mark, the edges, and the overall condition. You might be holding a hidden treasure without even knowing it. Today, we're traveling back to the year 1971, a year filled with history, transformation, and mystery in the world of U.S. coins. And our focus today is on one special piece, the United States of America Washington quarter dollar coin from 1971. Now, you might be thinking, it's just another old quarter, but trust me, what looks ordinary to most people could actually be worth a small fortune. So grab your magnifying glass and your coin jar, because by the end of this video, you might just discover that you've been holding on to something worth far more than 25 cents. Let's take a step back in time to understand the world that gave birth to the 1971 Washington quarter. The United States was entering a new era. The 1970s had just begun, a decade of innovation, style, and change. The space race was at its height, rock and roll ruled the airwaves, and America's economy was adapting to modern times. Amid all this, the U.S. Mint continued to produce billions of coins to fuel commerce across the nation. One of the most iconic of these was the Washington quarter, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the nation's founding father. The Washington quarter had been through several changes since its introduction. The most significant happened in 1965, when the mint stopped making quarters out of 90% silver and began producing them from a copper-nickel-clad composition due to rising silver prices. By 1971, the silver quarters were long gone, and the new clad version had taken over. Still, the Washington design remained bold, classic, and instantly recognizable, with George Washington's profile standing proud as a symbol of American strength and unity. The obverse, or front, of the 1971 quarter features Washington's familiar bust designed by sculptor John Flanagan. You'll see the word "Liberty" inscribed above his head, and the motto, "In God We Trust," resting to the left of his portrait. The year 1971 is clearly marked below. This timeless design has stood the test of decades, representing not only America's first president but also the enduring legacy of liberty and democracy. Flip the coin over, and you're met with another powerful image, the great American bald eagle. Its wings are spread wide in dominance, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, with an olive branch below symbolizing peace through strength. Surrounding the eagle are the words, United States of America, the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, and of course, quarter dollar. The design is striking and unmistakably American, embodying courage, leadership, and perseverance, values that have defined the United States for generations. Now, while the design may look the same as quarters from previous years, what makes the 1971 Washington quarter fascinating to collectors are the variations, the minting errors, and the condition in which they survive today. These are the details that transform a common coin into an incredibly rare and valuable treasure. The 1971 Washington quarters were struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can identify where your coin was made by looking for the small mint mark to the right of Washington's ponytail ribbon. Coins minted in Philadelphia have no mint mark, those from Denver display a small D, and those from San Francisco bear an S. Most of the San Francisco coins from that year were proof issues, meaning they were made especially for collectors, with sharp details and mirror-like finishes. Now, here's where it gets truly interesting. Among the 1971 quarters, there are some rare varieties and minting errors that can fetch enormous sums of money. One of the most exciting finds is the 1971 quarter struck on a leftover 40% silver planchet, a blank that should have been used for coins from earlier years or special issues. Because the transition from silver to copper-nickel was still relatively new, some silver planchets occasionally slipped into the presses by accident. If you happen to find a 1971 quarter that weighs slightly more than usual or has a different ring when dropped on a hard surface, it could be one of these rare silver errors, and that's when things start to get really valuable. Another fascinating and rare type is the double die error. This happens when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between impressions, causing the letters or numbers to appear doubled. You might see doubling in the words, Liberty, In God We Trust, or even on the date, 1971. The more visible and dramatic the doubling, the higher the value of the coin. Some of these double die quarters have sold for thousands of dollars simply because of that tiny mistake during production. Off-center strikes are another category of errors that excite collectors. These occur when the coin blank isn't perfectly aligned during minting, resulting in a design that appears shifted or incomplete. The more off-center the strike, the rarer the coin, and the more valuable it becomes. There are even broad strike errors, where the edges of the coin appear expanded, or die crack errors, where lines or cracks appear across the surface due to worn dies. Every single error tells a story of imperfection, and it's that very imperfection that turns these coins into rare treasures. Condition also plays a major role in determining value. A 1971 Washington quarter that has circulated heavily might only be worth its face value, 25 cents. But if your coin is in pristine, uncirculated, or proof condition, its value can increase dramatically. Collectors and grading companies use a scale from 1 to 70, with higher grades representing better preservation. A coin graded MS 65 or higher, meaning it has full luster and virtually no visible wear, can command an impressive premium in the market. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint, with their mirror-like fields and frosted details, are especially sought after. What makes the 1971 quarter even more desirable is that it represents a unique period in U.S. minting history, a time when the mint was refining its techniques and materials after the silver era. That means there are subtle variations in the strike quality, the sharpness of details, and the texture of the metal that can make one coin stand out from another. Some collectors specifically hunt for transitional coins or pieces that show unusual toning, those beautiful rainbow-like color patterns that form naturally over time on the surface of the coin. These toning effects can make a coin visually stunning and can sometimes increase its appeal and value to serious numismatists. The market for Washington quarters has continued to grow as more collectors turn their attention to modern-era coins. Auctions in recent years have revealed that exceptional examples of 1971 quarters can sell for staggering amounts, especially when they feature rare errors or are in flawless condition. These coins remind us that even the most ordinary pieces of change can hold hidden worth, waiting patiently in drawers, jars, and collections until someone recognizes their true potential. Now, the moment you've been waiting for: how much can the rarest 1971 Washington quarter-dollar coin be worth? While most are worth just a few dollars, certain rare versions with minting errors, silver composition, or exceptional preservation have reached extraordinary prices at auction. One such rare coin, a perfect specimen with unique minting characteristics, was valued at an unbelievable $123,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $123,000 for a single quarter that you could easily mistake for pocket change. Just imagine finding something like that in an old jar or your family's coin collection. That's not just spare change, that's a life-changing discovery. So the next time you come across an old 1971 Washington quarter, don't overlook it. Check its condition, examine its edges, weigh it if you can, and look closely for those tiny minting details. You never know, you might be holding one of the rarest quarters ever made, one that could turn your 25-cent piece into a fortune. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating story and hidden value of the 1971 Washington quarter, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to USA Coins 69. And ring that notification bell so you never miss another discovery from the world of rare and valuable coins. Thanks for watching, and remember, the next coin you find might just be worth far more than you think. Keep collecting, keep exploring, and may your next coin hunt bring you something truly priceless.